Hey, Fellowship Memphis, John Bryson here, sitting here with Pastor Brian McCurry and Pastor Josh Weiss, and we're going to talk today about a new initiative coming down the pike for Fellowship called Sunday Nights at Fellowship. And so these two guys have been boots on the ground and ideating this new initiative for a few weeks now, and along with Pastor Jason Cook, who's not here. So I wanted you to hear from them, we'll start with the why we're doing this, and then hopefully also give you some of the what and some of the details and things that are going to be happening. But we've learned it's always best to start with the why. So guys, as we started thinking about this late spring, early summer, why are we doing this? Like, what are some of the problems we're trying to solve, and what are some of the opportunities we're trying to seize, and what have we experienced the last couple of years at Fellowship that would lead us to want to invest the time and energy to do Sunday Nights at Fellowship?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been exciting to think about, exciting to plan for this upcoming initiative. I'm pumped to see it play out. I think as I look back over my time, it's crazy to think 6 years. It'll be in October. So as I think about the past 6 years at Fellowship and all that I've heard and seen in the groups world and people connecting, kind of the feedback that we would get time and time again from some folks is, it's sometimes it's hard to get connected at Fellowship. It's hard to figure out where to plug in and how to go deeper. And Pastor Brian McCurry has done some awesome work with our Fellowship groups here and helped alleviate a lot of that. And so we feel like this is a kind of a step towards deeper connection. And so as I've kind of processed that through the years, and Pastor Jason and I were talking, I think the two things and the two goals that we really kind of thought about time and again were depth and consistency. And so we wanted people to be able to come and have a place, regardless of stage of life, regardless of where their kids are, regardless of what outpost they went to, and find depth and consistency with other Fellowship Memphians. And so the Sunday Nights idea was born. We thought, what if we could consolidate a lot of the ministry that's already happening on Sunday nights and throughout the week at Fellowship Memphis into one place to be able to provide almost a one-stop shop for ministry from people 0 to 100. And so the Sunday nights idea was birthed out of that, a place where you could have adult groups, student ministry, robust elementary ministry for kids, as well as childcare for littles, all in one place to serve the folks at Fellowship Memphis.
I think when y'all started helping me understand and get clear that a lot of these things were already happening anyway on a Sunday night. I know, Brian, you experienced it in your own life, your own family. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, about how Sunday nights, you've experienced Sunday nights with the things we kind of already had going on, and then how what we're putting down on paper and executing this fall will just help with all of that.
Yeah, thanks, JB. I think one of the things we've discovered and kind of happened upon over the past year or two is the fact that Sunday night in general can be a night that's clear from other obligations, other activities, family responsibilities. And so FSM, our student ministry, has moved towards Sunday nights. We've done more and more groups and classes on Sunday night, like our new DNA groups, our race equipping class that we've done. More and more things started to land on Sunday nights just out of, that was an opportunity in a window of time during the week when folks' schedule was free to participate in that kind of a thing. And so for me and my family, a Sunday night could look like me being at DNA groups.
What it used to look like.
Yeah.
When you told me that story, what you were doing last year with your kids and FSM.
Exactly.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So what a traditional Sunday night for us, apart from the new initiative, would look like is I've got 3 kids in FSM, 3 kids who do D groups and youth groups, and they're all in 3 different places around the city. Yeah. We value it. We make it happen. We carpool. Yeah. We work it out, but they're in 3 different places. Right. I'm in a different place. Yeah. I'm this past year was helping do our DNA groups, and so that could have me at the church office or house, at a home in Carterville, and then Betsy is somewhere else, either carpooling or involved in other things as well. And so that's just a picture of what a typical family, or at least my family, was doing. And so kind of like Josh mentioned, what if those ministry things were happening in the same place at the same time? We could come as a family and all have something that we would be excited to be involved in. We could, it'd be a one-stop shop, kind of like what Josh described. And then when you kind of push down into some other family dynamics, a lot of people want and need a place for their little kids to be able to do groups and classes.
That's exactly where we are. So I had a 13-year-old, Brooke, who I highly value being involved in FSM. That's going to be the highest priority thing, as high as anything on our week. So we're committed to those 2 hours anyway on Sunday night, but it just meant leaving everyone else, bringing her to a D group or a big group. My boys wishing there was something for them once they caught a glimpse of a Nerf gun war one night, and just thinking, man, what if that 2 hour block or hour and a half block, all of our family could have an option to do something. And so, one of the things we've been saying parallel to this the whole time is if fellowship is working for you right now, you're connected, you're in a growth group, you're in some other group, you're in a fellowship group, and it's working on Tuesday night or Friday mornings, fantastic. We are not, in that sense, asking people to do Sunday night, but we do feel like it's going to be a really good option for anyone who just that second layer of involvement at fellowship just isn't working. And then last experiential thing I remember was just when we offered things like the race class without childcare, certain number of people show up. When we offer the exact same thing with childcare, it like triples. And so that just pointed to us to a real felt need for help with something to do with the kids and the littles so the adults could experience a class or a group. All right, so let's look forward for a second. What are we creating? So what's happening? It's Sunday nights at Fellowship. It's 10 weeks, starting the Sunday after Labor Day weekend, right up until that Sunday before Thanksgiving, then doing another 10 weeks there in the early spring and spring. One of y'all jump in and talk about kind of what's the basic engine that we're building.
Yeah, so basically we'd have a east and a west option, and so obviously anybody could go wherever they're relationally connected, or they could go to a different outpost if there was an opportunity that they wanted to pursue. But we thought if we divided east and west and had our Germantown and Collierville outposts meet together at our Germantown location there at St. George's, and our downtown and East Memphis locations meet together there at Harding Academy, that would be a good way to kind of divide our folks and be able to divide our staff team, divide our volunteers, all those kinds of things to kind of approach the night. And so if you were to come to a Sunday night at Fellowship starting September 9th, you basically walk in and from about 5 to 7 at night, with probably the first 30 minutes, again, it'd be deeply relational. And so picture walking in, we'll have music going, we'll have cornhole, can jam, yard games, just time for people to hang out, probably some pizzas there for some kids to eat, and just great relational time from about 5:30 to 6:45. You can picture a group time that might be Pastor Jason's race class, that might be a deeper dive into the book of Ecclesiastes, which will be our sermon series for the fall here. That might be a DNA group opportunity if you're newer with us or looking to kind of explore the DNA of Fellowship. And so from about 5:30 again to 6:45, you could picture that, be a part of that with others in our church that would be group oriented, discussion oriented, relationship oriented. And then on the back end, we'd also have some relational time. And so time just to hang out. If you got young kids and need to get them home for bedtime, you'd be able to get out of group in time, not have to leave early, but go snag kids and get home before 7 or right around 7 to be able to get kids in bed. Or we'll just be there to hang out. We've got the buildings reserved, and our staff will be there, people will be there. And so we can hang out as long as time allows. And so again, the idea is to provide a place where we can both grow and connect together as a church.
That's great. What would you add to that, Brian?
Yeah, the other piece of that is while those things will be happening for adults, there'll also be fellowship student ministries happening on site in these two locations. And so we've already experienced some of the wins of doing some east and west activities, programming with fellowship student ministries. So for these 10 weeks that we're looking at in the fall, FSM would be happening at these two locations. Yep. Likewise, elementary age group there's some great campus space at both of these places to be able to do some things. I think these Sunday nights will be some of the prime nights of the year to be able to do some things outside with students, kids. And so you can expect FSM youth group will be happening there. Fellowship kids will be happening on site. So you have a place that would be an awesome place for your kids to plug in while you're involved in what Josh shared.
Yeah, and we've been talking about as well. I love what we do in our fellowship kids ministry. Love what my kids get on Sunday morning. But what we're trying to do Sunday night is not an evening Sunday school. Think way more fun and connection. Obviously, they have fun on Sunday mornings as well, but this will be driven by kickball and Nerf gun wars and connection, a chance for our kids to get to know each other. And so as we're tasking volunteers and others and staff that are helping with our older kids, we're really going to push it to be a really fun experience that our kids really enjoy.
Yeah, that's the room I want to be in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk a little details. Just to be clear, we got not exact programming at two spots going on at the exact same time, but we definitely have the exact thing that we're creating. It's happening again at our Harding Academy East Memphis campus and our St. George's Germantown campus. Same times, same weeks. As Pastor Josh mentioned, you can follow your Outpost Trail or a relational trail or a class trail or a group trail. Let's go into detail a little bit. So what exactly is going to be offered for the adults at St. George's, and what's going to be offered for the adults at East Memphis?
Yeah, so East Memphis, one of the prime equipping things that we're going to continue is our race equipping. And so Pastor Jason Cook led essentially class one or session one.
Did
of
that twice
last year. Yeah, I think we had 400 people, 400 adults participate in that, which is awesome. I love that. And so that's going to be continued. That's going to be at the Harding location. Yeah. And so if you're new and want to jump in, there's going to be a recap of the first section, and then for everybody, there's also just a continuation of the second session of that. So we talk about being a gospel-centered, disciple-making, multi-ethnic church all the time. And so in order to really equip our church to have conversations around the topic of race, to be ambassadors for that every single day, to be engaging in action. We feel like we want to equip our church body to be well equipped to do that. And so this is one piece of that, and is a great piece. Jason has done a phenomenal job, and so I look forward to hearing and learning kind of what section 2 is going to be. He calls that our story understood. And so it really is going to push into how to begin to have those conversations around race and culture, and likewise how to move towards action in that regard. So that's a new offering that'll be happening at the Harding Academy location. At both locations, we'll have Ecclesiastes Bible studies. Good. So fall sermon series coming up will be around the book of Ecclesiastes. And so, as Josh said, we want to push into deeper, consistent study of God's Word and community together around God's Word. And so that's going to be offered in both places. Pastor Hassan Salim from our downtown outpost is going to be leading at our Harding location, Biblical Marriage on Mission. So he and his wife, Hassan and Tiffany, are going to lead that. So if you're looking for some marriage enrichment, there's going to be an opportunity for that for you there. And then DNA groups will be at both of our locations. Moving over to Germantown, there's a lot of details.
Yeah, no, it's helpful.
Hang with me. Over in Germantown at our St. George's, we're going to offer some equipping around the topic of immigration.
Great.
This isn't a political discussion.
Right.
What we're going to try to do is kind of bring that tenor down just a little bit and talk about, what does the Bible say? What would be a Christian response to immigration? Yeah. And that is a multifaceted, multi-layered topic to discuss. Karen Spencer from World Relief is going to lead that for us. That's at the Germantown location.
I've personally found World Relief as the single best organization and what they've produced in helping me really figure out God's heart for the immigrant. Help me see it holistically, help me see the issues in our immigration policies and that our immigrants face. And so, I think it's very fair. I think it's very helpful, very biblical. So I'm really excited for our people to get to experience that.
Absolutely. So that'll be at our Germantown location on Sunday nights this fall. Like I said, we'll have Ecclesiastes, DNA groups also at Germantown. And then, paired with marriage as being just a felt need that we all need continual growth and enrichment in, parenting. That's the other piece of that. So marriage and parenting. And so parenting equipping class, we'll use some of Tim Kimmel's study, Grace-Based Parenting, to offer some parenting groups at our Germantown location.
Yeah. And as much as possible, think classes on this, not groups. Think discussions more than lectures. There will be pieces of lecture and things like that, but our heart is to really get our people growing and learning and discussing things together and experiencing things together. So I'm really excited for us to kind of rise up to that challenge to make this as collaborative and discussion-oriented as possible. What are some things, if we get to November, this is a grand experiment, so we ask for a lot of grace. We may get to the end of November and go, we're never doing that again, forget those spring plans. I hope not. I think it's going to be very helpful and very popular and bear a lot of fruit. But if we're sitting here in December going, what happened the last 10 weeks? What do y'all hope we will have accomplished? What would we be high-fiving? What are some things we want to see happen?
Yeah, I mean, again, back to depth and consistency. So are people growing together? Are people feeling equipped in the ideas of and the concepts of race and immigration, a deeper dive into God's word, marriage, parenting, people that feel like they didn't just take a class, to your point. They didn't just take a class, but they were a part of a group. They were a part of a journey with others in our church where they felt arms locked, growing together, learning together, but also just a place where people had fun, where our church, members of our church could just show up with their kids as an entire family and just have a blast with other folks in our church, to be able to develop relationships, to be able to, I keep using the term, we just want to create collisions. Mm-hmm. Like I just want, I'm convinced that the more and more of our people that bump into each other, the more relationships that'll be formed, the more beginnings of friendships we can help create. And so, again, this isn't the end-all, be-all to connection at Fellowship, but we think it'll be a great place for you to meet and go deeper with like-minded individuals that you can then push into what we hope are Wednesday morning breakfast meetings and play dates with the kids and, different things like that. I think it's going to be fun.
What would you add to that, Brian McCurry?
Yeah, when I think about Fellowship Memphis, I was just telling a guy I was having lunch with yesterday, Memphis has become home for me, although it's not my home and it's not where my biological family lives. Fellowship Memphis and Memphis have become home for me because of the relationships here. Yeah. And so I would love for everybody that engages with us this fall and other capacities as well, but certainly on Sunday night, that Sunday nights helped make Fellowship Memphis feel like home, felt like our church was their family, that we become more and more of a family together. And we split ourselves up in lots of different ways by outposts, and here we're talking about two different ways, east and west. But I would love these huddles, these gatherings, to really feel like, man, I'm a part of a family that where I'm known, where others know me. My kids are involved in that. My kids have relationships with others. If everyone who participated in this kind of came away from the fall feeling that, man, that'd be a huge win.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you can go on our website and see all the details. Is it fellowshipmemphis.org/nights or Sunday nights? Just nights?
Just nights.
Nights, yeah. And obviously you can find it on the website. It's on the app as well. You can. We do need you to sign up so that if you're curious, interested, want to get you. If you got a family, get your family involved. Definitely sign up so that we can plan well and plan accordingly. I think this is going to be a really cool initiative that's really, really helpful to a lot of folks. So thank you guys for visiting with me.
Thanks, JB.